All right, how's it going? Thought I'd come outside today. It's a beautiful day out here in Los Angeles. And had a couple questions from people talking about dissociation and what that means to have derealization and depersonalization disorders. And just to get kind of a little bit back into what dissociation means, it's a separation of yourself from your emotional self. So your physical self and your emotional self are split. And what happens is we often feel like we're watching ourselves, go through the motions of life, and it can be very isolating. And we also feel like we're not a part of things. And there's a whole range, like there's a continuum. There's a whole long range of severe and not so severe. And dissociation is actually a survival technique. It's a survival mechanism, and it's used for times of trauma and times of really heightened emotion, and it allows us to interact with our environment behaviorally. And so what happens is our emotions separate from our body, and that's where we kind of like just are in survival mode, which is fight or flight. Now, some people have asked me, they came to Rythmia, they had a depersonalization or a derealization disorder, which means that they don't feel that they're really connected to themselves. By the way, 50% of most people go through a moment of that, or a period in their life where they have that. 2% of people have that as a theme for their life, and it's really upsetting. It's hard for them. So if you're part of that 2%, that this is an ongoing theme, then you should definitely listen to what we're going to talk about today. So some people said that they came to Rythmia to treat this, and then they had some clarity. They had some things happen for them during their week, and then when they got home, as life went on and got back into the routine of stuff, then what happened was they had it come back, right? And so what does that mean, right? What does it mean when it comes back? Okay, so I think for people that naturally can float in and out of themselves, this is something usually that resulted from a childhood of maybe trauma and possibly abandonment or abuse or neglect. Now, a lot of us think, okay, well, my parents were fine. I love my parents, and they were fine, and nothing. I can't put my finger on anything. Well, it doesn't mean that they were abusive to you. Okay, it doesn't mean that. It can often mean that you just felt like you had to take care of yourself, and they were just busy. And they loved you and they wanted everything for you, but you felt that in that moment you had to take care of yourself, and so that can be scary for a kid, and that can kick this in, right? Especially if it's under the ages of 12. So if you suffer from dissociation, where you don't feel like you're plugged into yourself or connected, well, then let's just look at this in a sort of a symbolic way. If you want you to be connected to your emotions, if you want to be plugged into your emotions and not separated from your emotions, how do you do that? How can you cause an emotion to occur? Well, when I exercise, I can feel tired. I can feel like I'm sweating. I can feel like I'm breathing hard, right? And those are emotions that can come to me of fatigue, or if I'm going to go talk to somebody, I can have a connection with somebody. Maybe it's a friendship or loving relationship. I can talk and engage with somebody, and then there's an emotional vibe that's present. You have to be mindful about it. So if I'm just going through the motions without thinking, I'm not always present-minded, and that's where this dissociation kicks in. And I can be acting normal, and everybody around me thinks I'm doing fine, but I don't feel that I'm present, right? When I lived in New York City, I would walk around Manhattan. I often felt this sometimes because I'm just like, there's so many people and just moving and going. I love New York, but you can really lose yourself there, right? So something that you can do is you can think about this. Okay, if your physical body is present with your emotions, what does that mean? Well, when it's apart from you, right, when your emotions are away from you, that means that you're an open vessel. And I always talk about this for empaths, right, that they can absorb other people's energy. Okay, if you are not in a traumatic state, you're not being abused, you don't have a high anxiety in the moment, then why aren't your emotions present with you? Is it because it's a default mechanism to like unplug? Okay, so that's in those times when you feel that you're it's called depersonalization and derealization. When you feel that way, you feel disconnected. Try to cause an event that's calming and therapeutically beneficial, where I used to tell my patients to tap on their chest and just self-soothe and go, okay, I'm right here. I'm right here. That's one thing you can do. I'm right here. Or go for a walk and clear your mind. Or listen to some music and plug into yourself and see how you feel. Okay, so these are all just little simple things. Now, of course, I always like to say a caveat where if you're suffering from this condition and it's severe and it's impeding your success in work or relationships or whatever, you should definitely talk to your therapist if you have one, or your medical doctor if you have one, and you should go and see what options are available for you. I always try to say that, as a disclaimer and a caveat. It's really important. What they're likely going to do is assess you for depression, anxiety, possibly assess you for epilepsy, which doesn't mean you have epilepsy, but people that do have epilepsy often can kick into this sort of surreal state. And they want to look at selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, antidepressant meds. They're going to look at lamotrigine, right, and all kinds of other meds that are going to help you potentially get this back on track. But as we know, at Rythmia, we're not trying to throw meds at anybody and that kind of thing, but we're trying to help people plug back into themselves and get connected. So we believe the purpose of life is to reconnect. So if you have one of these dissociative conditions, that means that you're unplugged from yourself, and there's a reason for that. It's not a bad thing, okay? It's not a bad reason. Like we can look at it like that, but that's the way the world looks at it. Let's look at it like it's a positive thing. When you're disconnected from yourself, you can connect to other people. You can feel their vibe. But we want you to be connected to yourself first and foremost, because if you're not connected to yourself, you can't really do great empathic work for anybody unless you're actually plugged into yourself. So the way to do it, right? Sit with yourself, breathe, relax, try to feel what you're going through. I'm sitting outside right here. It's like I have a warm bench I'm sitting on. The sun's over here. I'm looking around, I see there's not a lot of smog in there, which is rare for LA, right? And I'm just like thinking, like, how am I feeling right now? Okay, well, I'm getting a little tired. I'm getting a little hungry. It's almost dinner time. I'm just like, how am I feeling? And then just plug into myself. That's being mindful about yourself and like how to connect to yourself. Okay, so if you have a dissociative disorder or you feel that you're unplugged all the time, talk to your psychologist, talk to your medical doctor, come down to Rythmia. We can help you with this, but also get all the bases covered and try to connect with yourself in a way that's healthy and plug into who you are as an individual. It's very important. Feel your emotions, right? Your physical body is separated from your emotional self. Those two things have split. The goal of life is to come back, right? And come back and plug in. That's the goal. And for people that are split all the time, that means they're a vessel and they're available for other people. That means that, you guys that are this way, the guests the alumni that have told me that they're this way, they're always in the helping professions. They're always in healthcare. They're always in some sort of profession that's helping a bunch of people. They always understand everybody. They're always like really loved by everybody because they're really feeling everybody else's emotions, but just not their own. You have to feel your own. You have to heal yourself to heal other people, right? We can't just heal everybody else all the time. We have to heal ourselves first, be connected, be understanding of who we are as a people, as an individual, and then we can connect to other people. All right, you guys, so hopefully that helps a little bit. Talk to your physician, talk to your psychologist, get down to Rythmia, call our offices, and we'll get you checked in, see what you're doing, see how you're feeling, and then do mindful techniques to plug your emotions back into yourself, okay? Thanks, you guys. See you next week. Pura vida.